Assalamu alaikum all. Today I'm going to be talking about The Simple Path to Wealth for Muslims. Now, The Simple Path to Wealth is a great book. It's one of the most important books out there in the financial independence community. And if there was one book that I would recommend to people, it would definitely be this one. And this would totally sort of change how you think about investing. And this is the first video in the series that I'm calling the Simple Muslim Money Book Club. Okay, so I just want to say welcome to Simple Muslim Money, which is all about simple halal investing and personal finance for Muslims. Now, just a quick disclaimer, everything that I say is not financial advice and just for information and entertainment purposes. Okay, let's get into it. So using books is one of the best ways to learn about personal finance and investing. And it's been probably the number one go-to for me. And it's how I managed to kind of build up some grounding and basic information in that. So it's not about just picking up any books, but it's also about picking up the right books. And The Simple Path to Wealth will definitely be the book I'd recommend. If there was one book, this is the book I would recommend. And this book was originally published in 2016, but it still holds true now. You know, it's coming up to 4, 5, 6, 7 years now, but it's still very good. And Tai Kim, the Financial Tortoise YouTube channel, one of my favorite sort of channels out there, did a video about the top lessons from this book, and that was a fantastic video. Kind of really inspired me to do this one, and I really got some good information from his video as well, and I'll make sure to link that in the description. And what I did was I used the advice from this book and applied it in a Muslim context. So some of the things we may not be able to apply as a Muslim, so we could just kind of twist it around and just use Muslim products and services instead. Now, the main lessons are going to be coming up right now, and these are the main things I've taken from the book. So the first one is just to learn about money and don't bury your head in the sand. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, I can't learn about money, it's too complicated. But money is not complicated. The basics of money are not difficult. And, you know, this book will help you out massively. I know Dave Ramsey had a really good video about people saying they weren't good about money. Okay, change. Simple. That's it. Just change. And I thought, wow, okay, that just makes sense. If you don't think you're good about money, then change. Just read something, and this book will definitely help you get there. Number 2 is that financial freedom is the ultimate goal. What's the point of having all this money and just building up money and just having it in some bank account? I know, you know, some people are in jobs that they don't like, and some people are just making lots of money. You know, what's the point of that? And, you know, I definitely believe, you know, it's about using money in the right way. And one of that is freedom to do things that we enjoy, freedom to, you know, give money back, freedom to do things for charity. You know, I want to spend time with my family. And also, like, really important, I think, is freedom to do a job that you enjoy, where you're not doing it just purely for the money. And I feel so blessed that, you know, I found a job at the moment that I really kind of enjoy doing. And, you know, I've heard about doctors that are like in a job that they don't really like, and they feel like they're tied into it because they need the money to pay for their lifestyle. And, you know, I definitely want to have money so that I can, you know, spend time with family, do things like Hajj, Umrah, and, you know, and also give back to charity as well. The next thing I want to talk about is spend less than you make. I know it sounds obvious, but definitely that is something that a lot of people aren't actually doing. And yeah, some people make a lot of money and just spend it straight away. I know I was spending a lot of money and wasn't really thinking about it. I was eating out a lot, going to these restaurants that weren't very good actually. They look really good on Instagram, but then you go there, the food is all kind of really bad, and it kind of looks very good for Instagram, but the food isn't that good. And they use a lot of sort of like pre-prepared frozen stuff that I could have just done at home. And yeah, and then it took me a long time to kind of just realize, what am I doing? I'm just wasting money on something that I don't really like. I was had all these subscriptions, and I was buying a lot of clothes and things like that. We were going on a lot of holidays. And then a lot of people kind of spend money. They've got a really big house, a big car, like just on general shopping. So yeah, it's just about definitely spending less than you make. You know, there was a story I remember in The Millionaire Next Door talking about these doctors making $700,000 a year. And they're just spending all of that, not really kind of saving enough or investing enough. So if they were to lose their jobs, they would be in really, really big trouble. And the next lesson is basically embrace simplicity. And Tai Kim kind of really explains this in this video as well. Simple is actually good. Simple is better. Simple is more profitable. And this kind of blew my mind when I heard that. And, you know, however, simple is not easy. You know, people get in their own way. They get distracted. They start thinking about other things. They don't know how to keep it simple, but definitely something that, you know, should be in people's front of mind. You know, when you're investing in things like it shouldn't be super complex, shouldn't be lots of different things all over the place. Try and simplify it. The next thing I want to talk about is debt is not normal. So this is something that nowadays most people think debt is normal. You know, I need debt to buy a car, I need debt to on my credit card. I need to buy this, need to buy that. And that is so not true. I used to use my credit card a lot, and just normal spending and trying to pay it off every month. But then because of the way it works, and it like you pay on your credit card on one day, and then it's like a month later before you get billed, and it's like a month later before you actually pay the bill. It was getting so confusing. And before I knew it, I had like a £5,000 sort of floating debt that just kept going on and on and on. I didn't even know how that happened, and it just kind of built up really quickly. So now I don't even use my credit card unless I really need to. I use my debit card. And debt is really aggressively sold. It's like everywhere. It's just normal. Even things like, you get things like Klarna, buy now, pay later. It's just so easy to get caught up in debt, even for these little things, and they kind of hold you down and tie you down. And debt is one of the biggest sort of ways to kind of destroy your wealth building. So yeah, whatever money's in debt means it's not in investing. It's not building up your wealth. And a car is a really good example of this. Most cars, I know in the UK, 80% of cars are on car loans. And when you're buying a car, you just think about the loan, and they're constantly selling extras and accessories and things like that. Like if you want if you want certain lights, if you want a certain paint job, if you want a certain, Apple CarPlay or Android CarPlay, different speakers, some things like, maybe the speaker setup might cost an extra £1,000, but you don't see it as extra £1,000, you see it as extra, £10 a month instead. So like psychologically as well, it's hard to kind of get your head around it as well. So then the next lesson is marry well. So find someone that is on the same page as you with money. It's definitely important to talk about money, and it does take time. And me and my wife, alhamdulillah, we've been kind of talking about money, and it's taken us a while to kind of get there. And she's actually really good with money, and I feel very blessed to sort of have her. And the next one is financial/investment advisors have their own interests. So when they kind of suggest things to you and stuff like that, they get certain commissions and kickbacks and stuff like that, and no one will look after your money better than you, and no one cares about it better than you. So it's very important to learn about things and be aware of things like fees and stuff like that, and try and confusing you with financial information. And they make it sound way more complex than it should be. This happens in IT as well. Sometimes things sound a lot more complicated than they actually are. The next one I want to say is avoid picking individual stocks. Now, a lot of people think, well, hang on, Warren Buffett does it. He's able to pick stocks and do well and things like that. But what I have to remember is I'm not Warren Buffett. I can't do that. It's almost impossible to do that. And he's very rare. There's only very rare few people that can do that. And he probably has access to certain resources or information or certain connections that kind of, potentially help him somehow, and helps him with his analysis and stuff of companies. There's just so many factors that affect, like, the stock price, like new products coming out, the politics situation, supply, things like COVID happened, like everything can just affect it. Another good way to think about it is, I love the UFC, I like watching mixed martial arts and stuff like that, but I'm not going to go in the ring and fight with someone, like, even though, I think I kind of understand some of it and some concepts of it, I don't want to get my face spattered or, my arm broken or something like that. So, it's the same as investing. Like, if I'm not Warren Buffett, why am I going to try and think that I can invest like him? And the next lesson is avoid market timing. So this is thinking that, I can time the market. I know the right time to buy it's at the lowest possible price. I know the right time to sell is at the highest possible price. It's almost impossible to do that. So it's all about letting time do the work. So just invest and let time do the work. And that's been shown to be the best way to kind of invest. And then the next lesson is, some people might not be surprised, is just invest in index funds. It's so simple. You just invest in one fund that kind of invests in a whole bunch of top companies, and something I've spoken about loads on this channel. And what happens is it's kind of self-cleansing. So the bad companies, as they drop lower and lower, they eventually drop out of the index, and new companies take their space. But also another good thing is that if a company is doing really well, there's no limit to how high it can go, and it will kind of still stay in the index. Another thing about index funds is the fees are very, very low, and over the long term, they perform very well. And this is something I've spoken a lot about on this channel. And then the next thing is talking about wealth accumulation versus wealth preservation. So earlier in your career, and I'm talking about, up to maybe you're 50 or something like that, you want to be just accumulating wealth, so investing in stocks and building up your wealth that way. And then as you get closer to retirement, which I'm probably not that far away from, it's then about wealth preservation. So it's getting that money and then putting some of it into like bonds, so like Islamic bonds, ideally. That's what we would be doing. But then still keeping quite a large chunk in stocks as well. And then in the book, he talks about this portfolio. So the portfolio during preservation, 20% in bonds, 75% in stocks, and 5% in cash. It's a really simple portfolio, and that kind of really helps as well. And also we can apply this in the Muslim context as well. And yeah, just final thoughts is basically like, you know, if you've seen all of this, I want to say the main things is just spend less than you make, invest the rest, and avoid debt. Okay, yeah, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video,